the call to work with people in health. At UC Pine, he enjoys learning the natural and simple, effective ways to treat disease. And we are enjoying the things that he's teaching us on how we can enjoy those remedies to help our own selves. So at this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Marvin Randall. Thank you.
Thank you again, Sister Nelly. I appreciate that.
Yes.
As always, to God be all the glory. And pleased to make the third presentation of this seminar. And tonight we're going to talk about chronic diseases. One thing I'd like to clarify from last time was about, there's a question in regards to food combining. And the food combining is a science, and you can actually have a lot of different foods or food combinations, but only the right food combinations can be, can lead to a healthy life or a healthy, nutritious meal. And fruits can be eaten with grains as well. You can eat fruits with rice if you'd like, but more people would eat fruits with grains like millets or oats or whatever you like in that realm. And otherwise, you can have vegetables with grains as well. You can have vegetables either raw or steamed vegetables with rice and other grains. So I just want to make that clarification that you can have those combinations together. The combination that are bad, for instance, one that I mentioned was having foods, for instance, foods with fruits with vegetables, and that would be considered a bad combination. So that being said, I'm going to share my screen with you, but we're going to talk more about how our nutrition is very important to our health, and I hope you learn how to manage and treat and cure chronic diseases through nutrition, but also through the herbs that I'll mention as well. That being said, let's just have a word of prayer to open up. God and Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day of life. We thank you for the opportunity, O Lord, to share in your wisdom, to share in your glory, O Lord, and also to reap the benefits of your abundant healing and eternal life through Jesus Christ. I pray, Lord, that you be with us. Help me to speak your words and your truth, but also help us to understand and learn more about you and what you want for us, especially for our lives today and our lives in preparing us to finish the work in our lives and others around us. Be with us today, right now, and help us to learn more of you and him who you sent, Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so herbs for chronic diseases. There's a few chronic diseases. I'll touch upon a few. And an opening scripture that I'd like to share with you is taken from Jeremiah 30, verse 17. This is from the King James Version. And it reads, "For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of all thy wounds, saith the Lord." And the Lord wants to heal us of all wounds. But sometimes we only think about the physical aspects, but he also wants to heal us mentally and spiritually as well. Yet he does have certain things to help us to heal physically, and that's what I will talk about. And hopefully later on we'll talk more about the spiritual and the mental aspects of health. That being said, what is disease? And in the Ministry of Healing, page 127, it says that disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the law of health. So disease is actually an effort of your body to free the system of an adverse condition that results from the violation of the laws of health. So our bodies are made by laws, like the bird. A bird can fly, and we can't fly. So that's a valid or valuable law. You don't want to go out thinking that you can be a bird and try to fly. That's the law of our body. We can eat certain things. We cannot eat the same things that other animals can eat and survive. And those laws that govern their body and their health are not the same laws that govern our body and our health. So disease is actually an effort of our bodies to free our system from us violating the laws of our health, or the conditions that result from the laws of our health. So disease actually, from this statement, is a good thing. We just have to help our bodies to remediate or to fix the issues from us violating the laws of our health. In addition, it says how to treat diseases is also a point that it considers. Say we're in the same book, Ministry of Healing, page 127. And it says, in case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. So find out the cause. Unhealthful conditions should be changed, wrong habits corrected. Then nature is to be assisted in her efforts to expel impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. So it says if you have a sickness or a disease, you have to change the things that is leading to the conditions, or change the issues leading you to violate the laws of health, and correct the things that are leading towards that disease. And then you can also help nature, or help your body, assist your body to expel the impurities, expel the conditions leading to the disease, and basically reestablish the right conditions in the system. So that's what herbs do. Herbs help to assist the body in expelling impurities and reestablishing the right conditions in the system. Before we get into the herbs, I also like to give you a definition of what disease is, as what chronic diseases are, according to the CDC. So chronic diseases are defined broadly as conditions that last for 1 year or more and require ongoing medical attention or limit activities of daily living, or both. Chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes are the leading causes of death and disability in the United States. They are also leading drivers of the nation's $3.8 trillion in annual healthcare benefits. So chronic diseases play a big role in our society, and it plagues, especially in the United States. And we can see this by how much it spends yearly in treating these chronic diseases and illnesses. What's the impact of chronic diseases? It says 6 in 10 adults in the U.S. have a chronic disease. 60% of the adults in the U.S. have a chronic disease, and 4 in 10 of adults have at least 2 or more. And again, we see $3.8 trillion in annual costs. And this is from heart disease, cancers, chronic lung disease, strokes, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, and chronic kidney disease, among others. And again, some quick facts. It says 80% have at least one chronic condition. 68% or more have 2 or more chronic conditions. These are the latest ones for adults over 65 years of age. But what are the causes of diseases? Remember what we said, we have to ascertain the cause. The CDC also says many chronic diseases are caused by a short list of risk factors: tobacco use and exposure to secondhand smoke. I'll also add pollution to that. Poor nutrition, including diets low in fruits and vegetables and high in sodium and saturated fat. Lack of physical exercise and excess alcohol use. And all these are, I wouldn't say excess, I would say alcohol use in general. There are articles now that says even one drink is bad for your health. But I would say also that these things are, these points are things that you can control. The individual can control these things, and especially our nutrition. We can dictate what we eat and how we eat it and what we take into our bodies. And these are laws of our health, or health laws. If we smoke tobacco, for instance, cigarettes, we can end up with lung cancers. If we have poor nutrition, we'll have poor health. Lack of exercise, we'll have poor health. Excess alcohol use, we'll have poor health. Those are laws, basically, that governs our bodies. Another issue to consider is our diet, like it says, consuming fruits and vegetables. It's been known for years that a low fiber diet leads to a lot of diseases, metabolic diseases, cardiovascular diseases, colon diseases, and even others, autoimmune disorders, multiple sclerosis, thyrotoxicosis, but also the common ones, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. These are the things that we're going to talk about tonight. But just notice that what we eat what we eat basically dictates the diseases that we have. So how do we treat chronic diseases? And again, it starts with our foods, starts with our nutrition. It's very important to start there. And as you mentioned before, eat your colors, eat the rainbow. Mix and match all your fruits and vegetables and try to get all the phytochemicals you can, like we spoke about in the first night that we met. These phytochemicals are not only nutritious, but they provide us with healing properties that we can heal diseases, but also prevent diseases as well. And one thing also I'll recommend is intermittent fasting. You can look this up online. It's something that is probably one of the best kept secrets in the medical arena. And doctors know about this. A lot of medical professionals know about this. Intermittent fasting, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically 2 meals a day, and these 2 meals are 6 hours apart. And they have one particular intermittent fasting diet is called the 18-6 fast. And I don't like to call it a diet. I think it's more of a lifestyle thing than a diet. But the 18-6 fast is basically you have 2 meals a day, and those 2 meals are 6 hours apart. And in between those 2 meals, within those 6 hours, you don't eat a snack, not even a healthy snack, an almond or a fruit. So 2 meals a day. All you do between those 6 hours is drink water or herbal teas. And then after the second meal, you have 18 hours from the second meal to the first meal in the morning. And that's what they call the 18-6 fast. And within those 18 hours, you're either sleeping or drinking water or herbal teas. And intermittent fasting has been found, actually, there's studies online, you can look this up online, where they've done 3-week studies with people with diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. And there's one gentleman who was on insulin and multiple diabetic medications. And within 10 days, he was able to come off all his medications, just having 2 meals a day, no snack in between. And within 10 days, no insulin, no diabetes medication. He lost weight. And virtually every one of the participants in the study, they were able to be healed from their diseases, their chronic diseases. So intermittent fasting is one thing that you can employ to treat chronic diseases as well. So other than that, you can beat, again, intermittent fasting leads to fat loss, improved cognitive function, lower inflammation, lower blood pressure, so forth and so on. A lot of benefits, a lot of health benefits from that. And I see the questions. I'll answer the questions that I can at the end of the presentation. Obesity and what about obesity, overweight and obesity? And this is a chronic disease as well. We don't consider it as such, but it is a chronic disease. In the book Medical Herbalism, page 306, it says a well-known link exists between obesity and hypertension, as well as heart attacks, diabetes, gallstones, osteoarthritis, and kidney disease. Weight reduction is an essential component of a treatment program for hypertension and often lowers blood pressure more effectively than drug treatment. So often we turn to the drugs, but certainly making some lifestyle changes, especially our nutrition, but also exercise and other things can lead to changing your disease profile, especially being overweight and the conditions that are that are caused by being overweight and obese. So, what is overweight or obesity or morbid obesity? So, you're considered overweight if your BMI is over 25. You're obese if your BMI is over 30, and you're morbidly obese if your BMI is over 35. And they have extremely obese and so forth, so on and so on. They have, um, you know, overweight, obese uh, one, obese two, obese three, so forth and so on. But essentially, this is a foundational scale for your BMI and how it's how your weight plays a role in your health. Some one herb you can use for obesity or being overweight is chickweed. Chickweed helps to decrease cravings, so it decreases the appetite. But it also helps to lose weight in a variety of ways. The compounds in chickweed helps to lose weight, but also decrease craving, and also it acts as a diuretic. And when it acts like a diuretic, it helps the body to detox, and that also helps the body to lose weight as well. So some other herbs for obesity and being overweight. You can try cabbage. A cabbage soup diet for a week or so has been known to help people lose weight. But I don't like the word diet or diets or trying diets like a cabbage soup diet. I'd rather people have a solid solid cabbage meal with other fruits and other vegetables, I should say. Flaxseed is also good. And the thing with flaxseed and chia seeds, they're very high in fiber. So again, I mentioned about fiber and having a low fiber diet. You can actually employ these in your diet every morning to help you lose weight and among other health benefits, which I'll speak more on at a later time. Spirulina is also known. Spirulina and chlorella are also known for to help individuals lose weight. And cumin, but specifically black cumin or black seed, is also known to help with obesity and being overweight. And it has a lot of other properties, which we'll talk about more, especially in regards to cancer. What is diabetes? Well, diabetes is a disease affecting glucose metabolism. And you can have insulin deficiency, or you're deficient in insulin, meaning your body doesn't create it, which is type 1, or insulin insensitive, which is type 2, which means your body creates it, but it's not able to use it as is. So picture your insulin as a key, and the key goes to the cell and say, okay, I'm going to open the door so you can take in glucose. And normally that's what happens. But if you don't have that key, then the cell is not going to open, and you're not going to have that influx of glucose into the cell. That's type 1 diabetes. Now, type 2 diabetes is the cell, your pancreas still makes insulin, and it's sending the keys to the cells and say, open the door. But the cells are very insensitive to the keys, or picture a lock, a keyhole, and the keyhole is locked or blocked. So the key cannot enter the keyhole. So the doors cannot be opened. So when the doors cannot be opened, that means the blood glucose, which is supposed to go into the cell, it stays in the bloodstream. And once it stays in the bloodstream, it affects your nerves, it affects your eyes, it affects your kidneys, and all the other things. All the issues that you see with diabetes is a result of the key not being able to work, or you not having the key at all. And the blood glucose stays into the bloodstream rather than going into the cell, and causes a lot of health issues. So I hope you understand that. I can repeat that later on if you'd like. I think it's important to have a basic understanding of your body, and if you understand that, then you can make valuable choices or more valid choices in regards to diabetes and how your body works in glucose metabolism. For the medical society, you have diabetes when you have excessive thirst. So these are the signs and symptoms: excessive thirst, excessive eating, excessive urination. So these are signs and symptoms of diabetes, and the doctor will test you for your blood glucose. So fasting blood glucose over 100 to 125 is considered pre-diabetes. When your fasting blood glucose is 125 milligrams per deciliter at least 2 times, 2 visits to the hospital, or 2 visits to the clinic, you're considered diabetic. Or oral glucose over 200 milligrams per deciliter. So if you were to go to the doctor and they gave you a glucose challenge, something to take like a glucose drink, and within some time your blood glucose levels is over 200 milligrams, then you're considered diabetic. Or what they do more likely nowadays is just measure the A1C, hemoglobin A1C. And if it's over 6.4%, then you're considered diabetic. The best diet for diabetics. This is the Mayo Clinic. It says a diabetes diet is a healthy eating plan that's naturally rich in nutrients and low in fat and calories. Key elements are fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. In fact, a diabetes diet is the best eating plan for most everyone. So I think the medical and science world is also catching up to the fact that we need better nutrition to prevent getting diseases, but also treat diseases as well, like diabetes. Fenugreek is one herb you can use for diabetes. It actually helps to decrease overall blood sugar. So you can take like a fenugreek tea daily, and it helps to, again, decrease overall blood sugar, but it also decreases post-meal blood glucose rise. So when you eat a meal, your blood glucose rises each time you eat a meal, and when it rises, your insulin is supposed to come out and basically open the locks. So the key opens the locks. So the cells open up and the glucose goes in. But say you have insulin insensitivity, that doesn't happen. So what fenugreek does is it lowers the post-meal blood glucose rise, so you don't have the issues of hyperglycemia or too much glucose in your blood. So essentially, it's good for both type 1 and type 2 with these properties, these qualities. GYMNEMA sylvestre is a very, very powerful herb.
Yeah.
You may not have heard of it, but it helps to decrease sugar cravings. It decreases blood sugar levels, and it's thought to increase the activity and the regeneration of cells that make insulin. So even people with type 1 diabetes, they can see regeneration of their cells. There are studies that show that using this herb can actually regenerate pancreatic beta islet cells that make insulin. And they thought initially, once these cells are gone, you cannot recreate them. So there are studies showing that there's promise in using GYMNEMA for increasing beta islet cells, pancreatic cells, even when you don't have these cells, like in type 1 diabetes. Some other herbs and other things to help with diabetes and complications is chromium. So chromium is very important. When you have a high sugar load, for instance, you use up a lot of chromium. Chromium is a very important mineral. So one thing that we can use is chromium picolinate, and chromium picolinate basically help you to replace the chromium that your body is using in when you have a high glucose load. And when you have a high glucose load, basically it lowers your chromium, and chromium helps to balance your blood glucose. So if you're using it up, using chromium picolinate, for instance, helps to replenish it and helps to balance the blood glucose. Magnesium also helps to do the same. Magnesium citrate is one supplement you can use as well. And chromium you can get from foods. Magnesium you can get from fruits and vegetables. So you don't necessarily have to purchase supplements, but the supplements can be helpful. But eating raw fruits and vegetables can give you that same benefits. Vitamins, especially B vitamins, are important as well, and those you can get from fruits and vegetables as well. But you can also supplement with B vitamins. B complex is something that I recommend. Alpha lipoic acid, and this alpha lipoic acid you can get from things like chia seeds, and you can also get from flaxseed, and you can also get a supplementation with that as well. Castor oil and cayenne pepper. This works wonders for peripheral neuropathy. So if you have peripheral neuropathy in your hands and feet, what you can do at night before you go to bed is make a just put castor oil with and some cayenne pepper in it, maybe a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper with some castor oil, maybe like a half a cup of castor oil, and mix that. Probably use that within the week. And you can massage your feet, massage your fingers. You can put gloves on so it doesn't soil your sheets. You can put socks on as well so it doesn't soil your sheets. And we've seen wonders within weeks. We see the nerves being healed. And of course, these all are things that we can use to help as an adjunct, but also you have to make the changes, necessary changes, like the dietary changes as well. And I want to reiterate what Pastor said last night, that these things are adjuncts and not to replace any medication. What you want to do is help work with your physicians, work with your medical providers to basically make good balanced decisions to basically come off medications or to basically treat your diseases long term. But I wouldn't say use these as replacements for your medications. I would say use them as adjuncts, and try to come off your medications if that's your goal, and treat your chronic diseases. And that goes for everything that I'll be saying here as well, and in future lectures. Other herbs for diabetes: fennel. Fennel is good. You can make fennel tea as well. This is fenugreek tea. Bitter melon is also good. I mentioned chickweed before. Bilberry and blueberry. You can make tea from that. You can make. I mentioned last night. You can make herbal tea out of bilberry and blueberry leaves, and that will be good for diabetes. Goat shrew is another thing, but you don't need to go far. Like I said, you don't need to use a lot of herbs. All you have to do is just do the dietary changes and make sure you eat the rainbow. What is hypertension? Well, hypertension is considered a blood pressure above 120/80. So your systolic blood pressure is 120. Your diastolic blood pressure is 80. So your systolic is when your heart is pumping its hardest, and the diastolic is when your heart is resting. So everything in your body rests. People never think that the heart rests, but it's resting in the diastolic when it's pumping in its diastolic. When it's in its diastolic phase, it's actually resting. So if it's not resting properly, if you have a higher blood pressure, that means it's not resting. It's not working properly, and it's not resting properly. And there are two classes of hypertension. There's primary, which is 90 to 95% of cases. And I included this slide because the cause of the primary or idiopathic or essential hypertension, which are 90 to 95% of cases, the cause is virtually unknown. I say that again, the cause of 90 to 95% of cases of hypertension, the cause is unknown. And read the second line. It says results from complex interaction between genes, lifestyle, and environmental factors. So the most important thing to control 90 to 95% of cases with hypertension are lifestyle and environmental factors. I'm not so big in genes being a factor. Everyone has genes, but the environmental factors and lifestyle are triggers for hypertension and diabetes and cancer. You may have the genes, but you don't have to have the disease, is what I'm saying. Secondary hypertension, you can have identifiable causes like kidney disease, renal diseases, endocrine diseases, so forth and so on. So these are 5 to 10% of the cases. There are less cases than the primary essential hypertension. So basically, in secondary cases, you treat the kidney disease, for instance, and then the hypertension will go away. You treat the pregnancy, and the hypertension will go away, meaning delivery, of course. Garlic for hypertension is very, has been known for years and years and years. And garlic is one of the most studied herb or vegetable, if you like, for hypertension. And what it does is it increases the body's production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, what it does is it helps the blood vessels to relax. If you help the blood vessels to relax, then you decrease the pressure. You decrease the blood pressure overall. But it also has antioxidant and anti-inflammation properties that helps with the blood pressure as well. And one study reported that garlic extract reduces both systolic and diastolic blood pressure in hypertensive people. So again, this is one of the most studied herb or vegetable for hypertension. Beets are very, very good as well, and they're also high in nitrates. And the body, again, converts nitrates to nitric oxide, and nitric oxides help to lower the blood pressure. So enjoy beets if you can. I would say if you have both diabetes and hypertension, be cautious in taking beets. Beets are very sweet. So if you're having diabetes and hypertension, don't partake too much of the beets because it can raise your blood sugar. Corn silk. So the thing on the corn that looks like hair, fine hairs, we often throw it out. That is packed with nutrients, packed with a lot of properties to help us fight diseases like hypertension. Corn silk actually is one of the best herbs to lower blood pressure. It lowers blood pressure, but it's also good for the kidneys. We'll talk about this tomorrow. We talk about herbs for the heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. But it's good for the kidneys and helps to lower blood pressure. Also helps to lower pressure in your eyes for people who suffer from glaucoma. It's a diuretic as well. I mentioned the kidneys, but it's good for bladder infections and swelling. It's very powerful, and we throw this out every time we eat corn. So save your corn silk. You can dry them out and store them if you like, and make teas out of them, and it'll help with blood pressure. It sounds very simple, but it works. Other herbs for hypertension are celery, ginger, onions, hibiscus, and dandelion. We'll talk more about dandelion. We sort of touched upon it last night, but it's very good for hypertension and also kidney diseases as well. Hibiscus is, if you're Jamaican, you make there's a drink called sorrel. I was born in Jamaica, and they make sorrel, but they put a lot of white rum in it. You can actually omit the white rum and just boil the hibiscus flowers, and that's helpful for hypertension, but also other things. There's a lot of other things it's good for. And ginger, simply taking a ginger tea every morning, a strong ginger that is, strong ginger tea every morning can be helpful. And making celery in the morning as well is also good. Cholesterol, high cholesterol. What is cholesterol? Well, the American Heart Association says this: cholesterol is a waxy substance. It is not inherently bad. Your body needs it to build cells. Every cell in your body is lined with cholesterol. And it also helps to make vitamins and other hormones. Cholesterol comes from two sources. Your liver makes all the cholesterol you need. And the remainder of cholesterol in your body comes from foods from animals. So cholesterol does not come from plants. Cholesterol comes from your liver, makes it because your body needs it, but also it can come from outside sources from your food, and it comes from the foods from animals. For example, if you eat meat, poultry, dairy products, all these contain dietary cholesterol. So this is where cholesterol comes from. This is where cholesterol comes from. All the meat, the dairy, the fish, everything that you see here, this is where cholesterol comes from, besides your liver making it. It also adds, American Heart Association also adds that those same foods that we mentioned before are high in saturated and trans fats. These fats cause your liver to make more cholesterol than it otherwise would. For some people, this added production means that they go from a normal cholesterol level to one that is unhealthy. So basically, eating these foods can lead to a higher intake or higher amount of cholesterol in your body that becomes unhealthy. Some tropical oils, such as palm oil, palm kernel oil, and coconut oil, contain saturated fats that can increase bad cholesterol as well. These oils are often found in baked goods. So even oils like sweet oils like coconut oil and palm oil, but also olive oil, and partaking of these oils can also increase your cholesterol. So you'll consider to have high cholesterol when your total cholesterol is over 200, and your LDL is over 100, and your HDL is under 40. So HDL is your good cholesterol, LDL is considered your bad cholesterol, and total cholesterol it doesn't only measure up your LDL and HDL, it's also VLDL and other types of cholesterol, but these are the two most studied for disease management. So basically, you want to have your LDL under 100. Ideally, what we say in a natural world, you want your LDL at 70 or so, or even under 70. And ideally, you want your HDL over 45 to 65. And your total cholesterol, your total cholesterol should be 100 plus your age. So if you're 30 years old, your total cholesterol should be 130 or under that. Of course, you need cholesterol again, but it shouldn't be higher than 100 plus your age. Tomatoes are very good for cholesterol. You could actually buy lycopene, and tomatoes are jam-packed with lycopene. And as we mentioned on the first night, this is part of one of the most studied phytochemicals in the world, and the most powerful phytochemicals in the world. One of the most powerful phytochemicals in the world. But lycopene helps to decrease cholesterol by 10%. So you can decrease your total cholesterol just by eating tomatoes or buying a lycopene supplement by 10%. Charcoal is very, very important. Charcoal is considered an herb. Basically, charcoal is burnt wood. You can use different types of wood or even coconut husks, but you can buy activated charcoal, that is, and not just charcoal to you put on the grill. Activated charcoal is totally different from that. But it lowers total cholesterol. One of the Journal of Medicine says that it lowers your total cholesterol by 22%, whereas statins that you use that they use to control cholesterol only lowers it by 15%. So activated charcoal lowers your cholesterol by 22%, and the drugs that you use for your cholesterol only lowers it by 15%, and those come with the side effects. Charcoal comes with no side effects unless you're not drinking a lot of water. Charcoal can cause dehydration and also constipation if you're not drinking a lot of water with it. So if you're going to take charcoal, make sure you take it with a lot of water. You can drink to get the benefits of cholesterol benefits. You can drink 1 tablespoon and 1 cup of water 3 times daily to lower your cholesterol. And I guarantee within 2 to 3 weeks, you'll see the 22% decrease. Charcoal and castor oil poultices over the liver at night also helps to treat cholesterol, high cholesterol, and fatty liver disease. Other herbs for high cholesterol: ginger, fennel, fenugreek, google, caraway seeds. Sorry about that. Chromium picolinate and red yeast rice. I will stay away from the red yeast rice, but even though it's helpful, red yeast rice can actually cause damage to your liver, to some people, that is. So I would stay away from that, but I would use the chromium picolinate. We talked about that before. It's also good for the cholesterol. And the google is also good. Google is actually related to myrrh. And we'll talk about myrrh more in future presentations, but Google is related to myrrh, and it can help to significantly decrease your cholesterol. And I would say this in closing, to have faith. Benjamin Carson, one of the most intelligent and skillful neurosurgeons out there, he says the mind controls so much of the body. We are much more than flesh and blood. We are complex systems. Patients do better when they have faith that they're going to do better. That's why I always tell my patients and their families not to neglect their prayers. There's nobody I don't say that to. And he's so right. One thing we have to have is faith in what God can do for us. And if we don't have that faith, it's not going to work. If we don't have faith that we can use his stated means of health, they're not going to work for us. It all starts in the mind. We're complex systems, as he says, and God created these systems. But by faith, we can claim the promises that even garlic can lower your blood sugar or blood cholesterol. And it's similar to the lady with the issue of blood for 12 years. These chronic diseases. This woman had a chronic disease for 12 years. Went to physicians, never got healed. But it is by her faith that she was made whole. So your faith can make you whole as well. Who would think that touching the hem of someone's garment would heal them? But this lady had hope beyond hope that just by touching the hem of the garment, which had no healing property, that she could be healed. And you can be healed as well. These things have healing property, and God can use it to heal you. In closing, I like to say, like Pastor loves to say, I'm going to steal his line. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. So I hope you're enlightened and hope that you are able to manage, treat, and cure your chronic diseases. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Randall, again, for such an exciting and enlightening tour along the road of nature's pharmacy. We do want to continue to remind you that we know factually that 80% of all chronic diseases that prematurely cuts the life of Americans are preventable, and that some studies suggest that upwards of 90% of all medicines are made from plant-based sources, and other studies push them out as far as to say 118% of all pharmaceuticals are derived from natural sources. And so one of the things, and I'll share you little tidbits as we go along, as I learned them about Dr. Randall, but after completing his medical training and going on to complete his internship, he revealed that one of the things that disappointed him on the grueling journey of earning a medical degree and completing the internship was that he was taught almost zero about natural approaches to healing. And so where he is now is actually at a medical institute that has been established for decades that have demonstrated that natural approaches, lifestyle changes can eliminate, defeat those 80% of chronic challenges that face many of us. And so you don't want to, again, abandon your primary care, but this is what's going to happen. If you decide to make lifestyle changes and utilize some of these approaches, what you're going to discover is when you go to your doctor, the doctor's going to say, I need to pull you off this medication because you don't need it anymore. So there are individuals who are on this line that I know personally who are living testimonies of this. Okay, Doc, please remember everyone that this is the third day of our journey. Remember now, we're off until Wednesday. So our schedule, Elder Trost, please post our schedule at the end. Remember, our schedule is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. So we'll be off Monday and Tuesday, and then we will come back on Wednesday. So we will share the schedule with you again. If you do not have it, please take a quick screenshot. I got two questions, Dr. Randall, but I thought this one was interesting. Someone in the seminar says that they do not eat meat, but they've had high cholesterol all of their lives. Is there anything that they can do about that?
Well, so right, I spoke about the violating the laws of our health, and some of us are more, they have a higher risk or higher propensity to develop diseases like high cholesterol, high diabetes, high blood sugar, and so forth and so on. So just because, you know, this person eats this doesn't mean that I can eat the same thing. That being said, we can also make some lifestyle changes, like even if you're eating like an avocado. Avocados are, they're known to have good fats, but if you're eating too much avocado, it can lead to high cholesterol. If you're eating too much fried foods or foods cooked with oil, like free oils like olive oil, like I mentioned, and coconut oil, these things can lead to high cholesterol. And nuts as well. Nuts, people like to think that nuts have a lot of proteins, and they do, but nuts have 3 times more fat than protein. So you're consuming a lot of nuts, for instance, almonds, peanuts, walnuts, especially peanuts. When you're consuming a lot of peanuts, you're consuming 3 times more fat than protein, and that raises your cholesterol.
Okay, so it sounds like moderation and balance are extremely important.
Moderation, balance, but also thinking, you know, I may not be able to eat the same foods as my cousin. I may not be able to eat the same food as my friend. So also consider that, take that into consideration.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Randall. I think you've already confirmed it by your presence each night, but if you have enjoyed the 3 presentations that Dr. Randall has presented so far, can you just go to your reaction on your screen and just let him know either by a hand or an applause or whatever you choose to do. All right, he has already given you my standard benediction on your life already, so I will forego that tonight, and I will ask our media technician if you will please just put the schedule up so that the seminar guests can see. I hope you can see that clearly. So we will pick back up again, everyone, on the 21st. And on that evening, we're going to be looking at herbs for heart, liver, and kidney disease. Can't wait to get back. And then we'll have just a little break for Thursday, of course, and then we'll come back on Friday. All right, so please take a screenshot if you have not yet. And I'm so tempted to say what I always close out with, but I'm going to forego it tonight and to say to each of you, have a good evening and God bless you. All right, and we don't need to have a post meeting this evening. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. And we anxiously look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. Be blessed until then.
Yes, have a blessed night, everyone.